not interfering. All right. Cool. We are on. Yeah. Get a few seconds to see if anyone pops on. If not, then we'll just jump into it.
Cool. I'm getting that link for you.
Cool. I'll pop on the other stream there and let them know that I'm going here. Cool. Copy. Oh, add that into the chat. The other thing is, like, if you don't have the pro tier on this, when you post something, it always says it's coming from Restream.io.
Yeah.
Like, the prices are so stupid, though. It's $15 a month with a coupon code right now to do just this.
Mm-hmm.
And then to switch to the pro tier is like $40 a month.
Ooh, right.
And the only thing that really changes is your ability to, like, brand, essentially.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right, so we'll just get going. So hi, I'm Steve, Gear Stuff and Things, and if anyone jumps on, then we'll catch you up. But this is my buddy Josh Gwin, who's a fellow musician and photographer and all kinds of cool stuff. Former landlord. But yeah, how are you?
I'm well, man. How are you? And your channel here, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Loaded
it's
up
going
pretty good.
Yeah, we've it's gone pretty well, surprisingly. It's Bun and Nick Hill have really kind of helped spur their audiences towards me. So, in all transparency, like I'm making the videos and doing the work, of course, but they've definitely been super helpful in directing people over this way. But nice. So we'll just kind of get into it. But if for those of you who don't know, or if anyone that is watching, oh, there's one person watching, Josh. We have an audience.
Hi, person. Goes to zero immediately. Like,
yep, usually. But for anyone who's just joining, this is Josh Gwin. He's a fellow musician and creative folk. And we've been in bands together and done a lot of silly stuff. And I just wanted to have him on to talk about production stuff and music stuff, gear he's using, and talk about computers. He's also someone who works in the hi-fi field. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that for anyone that might be interested. So I guess I kind of came up with a list and we'll just kind of start going through it. So you are a guitar player primarily these days?
Yep. And, the guitar. So, yeah. So
Nice.
playing with a group called Tyrion at the moment. We're out of northwestern Columbus side, Marysville almost. And it's kind of just a rock band with clean vocals and some noise behind it. So, what I'm usually good for is noise.
I watched the video with the cartoon. It's pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah, that was Paul, our singer, actually runs a production company, and so he filmed some things and got some other people who do animation, involved, and we were shown the final product right before it went on Facebook the next day. So
nice. Yeah, it looks great. The animation's super unique. So in that, you're just doing guitar in that project?
Yep, just guitar and kind of just the atmosphere side of it. It's just, again, weird delays and stuff on top of actual guitar riffs. So just the color.
Nice. Are you doing any of the cover or tribute stuff at all anymore?
There's talks about it happening sometime soon. Trying to figure that out. Obviously, COVID kind of took the wind out of any sales of most music projects. But yeah, we're just been talking, so it's very possible we'll see a return to that here soon. We've jammed just in the basement here just for fun, so we might see something that's worth our time. So
awesome. Let's get into the stuff that people will probably be interested in, whether they know either of us. So what type of gears are you using? We'll just go through guitars and then make our way from there.
Yeah, so about 2 years ago, I purchased a Dunnable, and it's just been my main guitar ever
Nice.
since. Just super comfortable, love it, and I better for the price that I paid for it. So, but no, they make a great guitar. I really like it. Plays a lot like an SG without the neck dive.
Mhm.
Stays really in tune really well. It's intonated well. It feels awesome. And then my old standby has really been my old Mexican made Telecaster that I love dearly, and it can be dinged up. You can take some abuse, and I don't feel so bad about it. So I've actually been playing that a lot more, and actually standard E tuning, which is weird.
You're not tuned to the bowels of hell like you were in Close Hatch.
Yeah,
Yeah. Anybody who catches this later or is watching, I can never. The stream numbers will say one thing and mean another, so I don't know. If you're on here, wonderful. Thank you for watching. If not, and you see it later, then that's what Josh used to be in Close the Hatch as well for several years and played bass. And then we have all moved on to do basically nothing through the past year and a half. So,
yep.
But yeah, so we're just talking guitar stuff. So got the telly. I actually, if you haven't watched it, there's a video here on my channel. Josh was kind enough to let me use his Stunnable to do a video, so it's out there somewhere if you want to check that out. I think Sasha and the fellow who runs Hillbush have both seen that now, so that's pretty cool.
Excellent.
But anyway, yeah, the Telecaster, the MIM tellies are kind of like they're sleepers. I don't understand why people don't like. If you've ever wanted a telly and you don't want to spend the $1,000+ for the American one, definitely try to find a nice, like even a used MIM. They're amazing guitars.
Yeah, it's just like a comfortable pair of shoes. Just your casual shoe. Doesn't really matter how what it looks like, but it gets the job done and it sounds good. So yeah, no, it's been my staple. I freaking love it.
Nice. Anyone who watches the channel regularly, occasionally I talk about Mr. Jeff Newell, who builds pedals and amps and does guitar work, and he's done a lot of stuff for Josh as well. I believe the telly we're talking about, Jeff has modded quite a bit for you.
Yeah, absolutely. He's switched it to where instead of doing going to inside the body and out, it goes, typical telly is the toggle switch, volume, tone. Now it is a volume, tone, toggle switch with a kill switch in the middle. Back when I used to play some Rage Against Machine covers, came in really good, handy. And then I have some guitar fetish Hot Reels humbuckers in there, so it is pretty silent and very loud and bombastic. And like I said, for very little money in it, it's a great guitar. So
Awesome. Yeah, the guitar fetish stuff is awesome. I think a lot of people underestimate how nice that stuff is.
oh yeah, absolutely. I think maybe you were the one that got me hip to it, and then it's just been giving them my money ever since. So
Same. Yeah, Jeff Newell got me hip to him, and then I like kind of tried to push it on everybody, and a lot of folks have seemed to jump on board and be happy with him, so which is awesome. What are you doing for? Are you? I mean, I'm assuming you're using pedals if you're doing delays and things. What is your pedal setup?
yeah, honestly, I've been using standard delays, your typical slapbacks and stuff with the HX effects.
Mm-hmm.
Still tried and true with that, but I have almost exclusively using the Afterneath version 3 from Earthquaker. That thing does everything I needed to do. It's exactly the color I'm looking for every time I kick it on. So that's peppered throughout both recordings we've done with Tyrion. There's even tracks with vocals using that pedal hidden in the background. So we used it literally on every song in like multiple different instruments.
And I've been with you on that one for a while. I used that one for many years and closed the hatch, and then I was still using it up until a year or so ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had the Generation 1. I sold it and bought the Generation 3 at the beginning of the pandemic. And then I think I paid $25 difference. Like it ended up working out great. I just got the Astral Destiny, but haven't really dove into it too much.
Mm-hmm.
We've been recording on it, and Sean O'Shaughnessy, who runs Encore. If anyone who's watched the channel before has seen my videos with Sean, we just recorded noise for a whole day the other day, and we just kept using the Astral Destiny thing, just literally just making feedback and noise and drones. It's kind of it's like a different flavor of the Afterneath. It does feel quite a bit like it, but you have like the ability to like do swells with it, and then there's presets. So that it's something. If you like the Afterneath, it's worth messing with because it's kind of a different flavor of that pedal, just with more flexibility.
Yeah,
but it has some weird like sub-octave stuff and octave up stuff that's built into the reverbs, as well as a chorus.
Oh yeah.
So it's interesting, but yeah, if you're digging the Afterneath, it's something worth tinkering with, even just to check it out.
Yeah, I've been really tempted to purchase that one. I'm out of room on the pedal board.
There's a thing that's like weird because I know you said you had the HX effects. I guess one of us will say it right eventually. It's always a thing. Even when we were playing together, I had the HX effects. You had it as well, and I still had to use the Afterneath separate. Like it's a hard pedal to duplicate, even with all the options that are inside of the HX.
Yeah, it's its own instrument in a way. Like it like I think of it as an effect pedal, but I also think of it as its own instrument, and it has that color and sound that I'm looking for. So, like I said, it's peppered throughout everything I've been doing over the last year. So I'm pretty excited to keep on using it because you know me, I like it simple. I like to hit one button, and it just goes off into space basically.
Yeah. I mean, you and I both kind of simultaneously went down a road of using the same multi-effects pedals and being stoked about them, then disappointed with them. So the HX has kind of been the main one that seems to be tried and true.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm tempted to try the Neural DSP, but it's insanely expensive, and well, it's really not. It's a good price for what it is, but you know, I don't know. I'm just gonna wait until there's more reviews out there, and it's
Yeah,
all the kinks have. I mean, it seems like it doesn't have any kinks, but you never know. So
I think the thing with that, and I've on the other show that I do, that the ban list thing that's also going simultaneously as we're doing this, which is probably why a lot of folks aren't on here, but it's came up a few times on there about the quad. I think the thing that they missed the mark with so far on it is that there was this promise of taking all those plugins and having it be inside of the device. It's like any plugin of theirs you purchased would also translate to the physical unit, and that didn't happen. So a lot of folks were pretty upset. I don't think Helix or anything has anything to worry about as far as like losing money from it.
mm-hmm.
I do feel like the Kemper's days are numbered because the quad is doing what the Kemper is doing, but better. And you also have the flexibility of having those other things. And if they do get the plugins involved, and you're able to get something like the Gojira plugin or the Abasi or something as a part of your live setup, and I'd imagine that they're going to have to come up with something pretty amazing to keep up with it.
Yeah, and that's my big thing is like I've over the COVID season,
Mm-hmm.
I got really addicted to the Neural DSP plugins, and the gateway was the 14-day trial on the Gojira plugin, and I later purchased that one, and I've purchased quite a few since then, and I'm loving all of them, and I want that, portably. But again, like you said, if it's not available in that unit, what's the point?
Right.
It does things really well, but those are the things I'm wanting to have. Like I downloaded the Corey Wong plugin, which I feel like it's really hard to get a good clean sounding plugin versus, all the, heavy distorted plugins. And that thing sounds incredible for the price.
Yeah,
You really, I get a lot of mileage out of it, and I love it. Like it's so much easier just to plug in and just do that. So but I want it on once they do that on the quad, then I'll give them my money. So
absolutely. For the folks just joining, this is my buddy Josh. We have been bandmates and pals for many years, and we're just kind of hanging out talking about what Josh does, all the things that Josh does. So, but anyways, yeah, just Josh also has a channel here, which is called Spring Verb. I think he has 2 or 3 videos up. I don't know, have you done some that I've missed, or is it just those?
It's just those. I'm actually planning on uploading some stuff here in the next couple of days, since I now have a little bit of time to work on that. So
Nice. It's man, the thing with your channel, I think I've told you this there, and maybe commented on it back and forth, is like your first videos have better production than a lot of videos have 10 years in. So it's like, I think if you do it enough, it's just gonna bloom on its own, because the quality of the videos are good. It looks great. The sound quality is there. It looks amazing. Your skills with the camera are really, really shine there, as well as just, you have got a good space, and it's great. The videos are really awesome.
thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to putting out more, but you know as much as anybody how time consuming this really is.
It's Yeah, to put up a video that's 15 minutes, I did the math on it. I'm good for at least 4 to 16 hours per video.
Oh yeah, and that's now with high powered computers.
Yeah,
Goodness gracious.
it's a lot. Anyway, getting back to the thing, if you're watching, let me know who is there in the chat. I see that a few of you are there. Feel free to ask any questions. The link that you see there that says it's from Restream.io, because money and whatnot. That is to Josh's band, if you'd like to check them out and watch their videos, or just check that out in general. And yeah, if you have any questions about any of the stuff we're talking about, if you have any questions about the gear he's using, or if there's something you're interested in relation to us having played together, any of that stuff, just ask away, and we'll try to answer your questions. But getting back to your rig, so we did the pedals, which is HX effects afterneath. Is there anything in there? What's up, buddy? All right, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's actually, what I've been doing a little differently as of lately, and it's just kind of out of pure laziness, but also being, trying to be as streamlined as possible, is I've been still running the Runt 20 from Friedman. Actually, it's right behind me here.
Gotcha.
And I've been taking that aux box with me everywhere I go and not bringing a cab, and it's been fantastic.
You just run it into the PA?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Man, there's another gentleman that usually hangs out on the streams. I don't know if he's on here. This guy named Anthony Nieto. He has done a bunch of videos on using the aux box with a bunch of different amps and stuff, and testing different cabs in combination with like vintage Marshalls and things. It's super impressive. How are you liking it with the Friedman, just in general, like aside from your live use, but like just at home?
Yeah, no, it's great. It just, for me, it makes me play guitar more.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because, I have it set up in a way where there's a cab under the desk here,
Mm-hmm.
and then I don't have to have my computer on. I can flip it on, have headphones in, flip it on, have a cab, flip it on, and it's in the audio interface. I don't have to touch anything past that point. I mean, it just makes it, beyond just sounding good and feeling right, it
Mm-hmm.
really, it just does what it needs to do. And
Yeah,
the app is just exactly how it needs to function. So nothing more, nothing less.
that's awesome. Is there an app for the iPad with it, or is it just on the desktop?
Both. The iPad will do it as well. So
Awesome. Have you used the iPad at all when you're traveling, or?
yep, I have there's a dial of numbers on it, so you can set the presets to what you do.
Okay,
But I do I usually have my iPad with me in case there's something I want to change on the fly. But 9 times out of 10, I have it set it to the 412, basically, brown sounding cab or whatever, just loud and obnoxious. So
nice. Yeah, that's awesome. And with you using that, I know that the Friedman has its own built-in kind of IR thing. Is it bypass that, or is that a separate output? I know this probably seems like a silly question.
no. It's a good question. So I actually really set for home recording. I actually run that into one channel on my interface, and I still run the aux box on a separate channel, so I can use bass directly into that as a preamp, which actually does
Nice.
really well on bass. But that thing basically works as a load box, so it's coming out of the speaker out directly into that. So you're
Gotcha.
getting that, kind of a tensiometer, but it's not, because any kind of reverb or something used actually on the aux box itself is only going to come out of the digital side. It's not going to go through the cab. The only thing that happens with the cab is it gets turned down basically.
Got it.
And so that's really all there is to it. But it's really solid, and it does the job. But it does sound better than the direct out on the runt. The runt is really nice, and had I not known better, that was good enough. But the aux box blew it away, and I had no intentions on keeping it. I had a client of mine tell me about how awesome it was, so on a whim I bought one, and I didn't get rid of it. So
Awesome. Yeah, they're impressive units, man. I am very jealous. I have I'm kind of just using Helix primarily these days, but and it does a good job of that. And with the using third party IR stuff, you can get kind of what you want out of it. But I'm interested in those for using it with real amps. I've heard not great things about the smaller torpedo one.
we actually have used that. Paul, the singer of Tyrion, has it, and it works pretty good. Like,
Okay.
he's gone full Kemper as of lately, so he hasn't been using it. But the little bit he's used, it seemed pretty good. But I'm a Universal Audio fanboy, true and true, so I'm just not going to give it up.
Man, I'm really into UA stuff right now. Like I've been like fighting. Like I have a Presonus Quantum, which is like their flag, like the nicest thing they make right now.
Mm-hmm.
And like Presonus has been super awesome to me, but I'm like I kind of just want one of the UA interfaces. Like I even just like the Solo or something has been like calling my name lately. It's just like they work really well. The plugins are great. The expandability on all of their stuff is amazing because you can get the tiny interface and still attach the big stuff to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just kind of becomes a control surface for your bigger interface. I think that's brilliant. Being able to set up the different monitor outs and stuff is amazing. Like obviously their plugins have always been incredible, but like their hardware stuff, they're really knocking it out of the park lately. I'm curious to see if, because of things like the aux box and stuff, is if down the road when they make newer versions of stuff, because they got rid of the Arrow and introduced the Solo and the Quad, I think, or the Dual.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a Quad as well. But I'm curious to see if, like, for stuff like what the aux does, if they start incorporating smaller versions of that into their interfaces, like to be able to get some of those advantages.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I'm curious to see that, and then the really my biggest holdback from getting one of their interfaces at the moment in time is just I'm waiting. I check the forums like once a week till they announce full M1 compatibility, and as soon as they do that, I'll have something. So
yeah, so far like Presonus was quick to jump on M1, and we'll do some we'll chat about gear a little longer and get into the M1 topic. But the Focusrite stuff, because they're intertwined with Mac, very quickly went straight to being able to work, and the Apogee stuff was working fine. So I haven't had any real I just using that stuff, it's been fine, but it's definitely really been kind of pulling at me like to get that. But like I don't need to spend the money. Like I just got the computers, and like I've got school money is paying for me to get computers. So it's like I could probably get it, but there's no real need for it. I have a nice interface, but gear acquisition problems.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just like I don't know how many times I've had even the Twin in my shopping cart, and I'm like, no, not this week. No, it'll probably be fine. Like I just want that bit of confidence that they're fully supported for M1 before I pull the trigger. But I've almost done it a couple times without it, knowing that eventually it's coming.
There's a used one on Marketplace right now, and it's been calling my name, and I'm just like, no, you can't do it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome. So getting back to the gear, coming out of those things, are you using a cab at all now, or just using the aux?
I've just been using the aux. I haven't got to play out with it, but I'm kind of excited to see, like, play a couple shows with no cab and see how much the sound guy either hates us or loves us. And but I'm planning on at least having a 112 with me, at least in the car or somewhere, just in case they don't know what they're doing. So
Right.
I figured it would be easier, but man, I've been proven wrong so many times. So
it's kind of weird. I mean, I think with all this, like, I think this was prior to you being in Close the Hatch with us. Sean, who's the guitar player as well as the engineer that's on the channel occasionally here. Um, he had a Kemper, and his whole intention was to get the Kemper to use for recording and then live just to run into the PA. Mm-hmm. We never once, none of the shows, even like places with good PAs, did we ever end up using it because it was just easier to mic a cabinet. Mm-hmm. And a lot of sound guys are just dumbfounded by it. Mm-hmm. But then if you play the shows that we've all played and you've played them with me, like house shows and basement parties and stuff, it does you no good because the PA is worse than anything else that's in the room. So it's like, I don't know, like I'm with you in that, like, because I'm using Helix. I have the Seymour Duncan, the 170, which is just like a tiny power amp. Yep. And I run it into a cab for rehearsal, but we've been recording with the Helix in combination with our real amps and stuff, and running a DI as well as the digital feed. Mm-hmm. And it's clear that it would work very well, like if the PA was good. Yeah, like it would be fine, because if it sounds good coming through the studio monitors and recording it to, if that's what's being sent to the feed, it's going to be good. And the Helix has the floor Helix unit, you can program each output to be a certain thing or change the pad and all that, or the XLRs. You can really define what you want them to do. And it just seems like a no-brainer. Like, that's the one thing from the whole COVID experience that I gathered pretty early on. Like, I think I'm done carrying a ton of shit.
Yeah, it's just, as long as you get to point A to point B, it's like, I like having a ton of shit, but I don't like moving a ton of shit. So.
Same. I mean, well, I've talked about it on the channel here, but there was a point in time where I had that silly cabinet that was like a 512 115.
That we bought in Chicago?
Yeah. And then it like was so much that it shit out my power amp the day we bought it.
Oh yeah. Forgot about that.
Yeah, dude, just fried it. Couldn't handle it. But like, it's cool. It sounds great. It looks amazing. Mm-hmm. But it's totally unnecessary. And yeah, I mean, that's why I sold it to Sean. But he doesn't even use it for shows. Like, he's still rocking a 212 most of the time. So it's kind of like, it's cool to have all that stuff, but who really needs to deal with that? Also, who wants to move a refrigerator every time you leave?
Right. It's if we're paying somebody else to do that, which seems to be kind of in the past at the moment in time, if somebody else is moving it for me, that's fine. If it's just me, I'm going as small as possible.
Right.
Plus, I mean, you're playing these tiny little places. I mean, even bands that are doing well are playing tiny places, mm-hmm. and those shows are awesome. But you don't need a whole lot now. So
it's kind of like when I saw Sumac at there's the Double Happiness. For anyone who doesn't know it, I know Josh is familiar, but it's a little tiny place that's in Columbus, and they were playing with, like, Aaron Turner was playing with a full stack on one side of the stage, an orange Dark Terror, and then on the other side of the stage, he had an additional two cabs, like two 212 cabinets that were pushing to that side of the stage. But that room is so tiny, like between him and the bass player, it was hard to hear the drummer. And the drummer of Sumac is like the highlight of the band usually for me. Like, I love Aaron and Nate, what they're doing, but like, the drummer is amazing in that band, and not being able to hear him was like, wow, this is kind of rough. Mm-hmm. But it's cool to have all that shit. It's sometimes way too much. More often than not, it's way too much.
Oh, 100%.
It's well, you see like guys like Tom Morello that have traveled with the same 412 cabinet for like 35 years. So it's, right. It's it's interesting.
Yeah, no, and he's always made it work and made it sound good, and I don't know, he's always been his own thing. So
yeah, I think there's something to be said for that. Like, there's convenience with all the digital stuff for sure, but like, just kind of doing what works usually ends up standing out, even if it seems unconventional. I mean, for that, like, the Jack Whites of the world kind of got the Sears amps back in popularity because arguably they sound terrible, but they sound cool and unique. And then it became a thing that people sought to emulate because mm-hmm. nothing else sounds like it. That with a big muff in front of it is the White Stripes sound, It's pretty interesting. Now there's like pedals that do a version of that amp, like emulate an amp no one wanted.
Yeah, and this is like the plasma thing or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Has like the lightning bolt. I think it looks cool. I just want one to stare at it.
It does look amazing. And he's put out like Third Man's put out a lot of stuff. I know you and I are fans of the stuff they do, but they've also put out great guitar pedals. But every time, like, they're always fuzz pedals, and they're always kind of that like really like Velcro-y fuzz pedal, which is useful to Jack White.
Right.
Like,
He's like,
all
I'm gonna
right,
give you all this firepower, but I'm the only one that can make it cool.
right.
Good luck.
It's interesting. But if you see his board, it's pretty minimal, and it's mostly now it's covered in his pedals that are basically like, here's a big muff doing this, here's a big muff doing this, here's a fuzz factory doing this, but they just have my logo on them.
Exactly.
Pretty interesting. Let me get to my notes here. There's a couple people watching. I'm not sure who all is there. Dominion 3333, if you are still there, hello. Thank you for watching. Anyone that is watching posthumously in the future, I thank you in advance. Let's see here. We did the gear. We talked about your band stuff, which we'll get back into before the video is out, just to catch anyone up. Hello, third person that joined the stream. There are a whole 3 of you right now. Let's see. Okay, so you have worked in the hi-fi field for about, what, 5-6 years now?
5.5 years. Yeah. So mainly focusing on 2-channel stereo in-home playback systems, and that's a interesting field to be in.
For sure. I mean, I lived with Josh for a while and got to see some of the stuff he was messing with and hear some of the stuff. If you're not familiar with that world, talking to like super high end turntables and mono blocks and speakers and just really, really high end, high quality listening audio stuff. So if you're someone who is like loves records and you want the best speakers possible to do it, and you have thousands of dollars to spend versus a couple $100, Josh would be the guy you go to.
Yep. And yeah, and that's with the growing popularity of vinyl, turntables have come back with quite a vengeance. It seemed like I was always having a conversation like people were unaware that the comeback is, and it's like the comebacks happened like longer than they were around at this point. Like,
Right.
it's, 10 years ago it was a comeback. Now it's just part of life.
It is wild that happened because it was, gone for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like Europe, they were making them. And then in the States, like I remember touring Europe, URP, which is United Record Press in Nashville. And there's a whole area of the upstairs that's kind of historically accurate. They haven't changed anything through the era. There's even a pair of someone's shoes that have been there since the 50s.
Oh, that's cool.
They just haven't gotten rid of them. Like just leaving it there. And there's a open log in the waiting room there up on the second floor where like I want to say it was Hank Williams the first signed a record contract, and the paper's still there in the same spot. Like they dust it off and make it look nice, but it doesn't change. So there's a whole area when you're leaving the upstairs that's a wall of just hip hop records, but it's all from like the mid 80s to like 99. And like it's there because that's what kept them in business through that era. Like just those like DJs that were in, hip hop acts traveling, or like people that were doing club work. Like that's literally what kept that industry afloat during that, almost 2 decades. It's just one-off pressings of, I need 10 copies of Rump Shaker before I go on tour, because if one breaks, I don't have another one. So here's a whole crate of that one record to take on the road with you.
Yep.
It's wild. A weird reference. I'm not sure why Rump Shaker went into my mind, but it is a thing.
Hey, I always default to Rump Shaker.
So yeah, that's pretty interesting stuff. I'm sure you learned a lot about different audio stuff. Did it make you, I guess the real interesting question, did it make you an audio snob?
I definitely have some expensive taste at this moment in time. but I have a realistic expectation of what you can actually extract from a recording,
Hmm.
and there's a time and a place for certain things. There's some music that I listen to that and just isn't recorded well, and it doesn't do a lot of favors on high resolution systems. So sometimes just stuff is just better in my car. It just sounds
Right.
better there. It's more pleasant.
I feel like, I mean, then there's all this, the lossless stuff is becoming commonplace again, which again, part of the Apple topic we'll get into here in a moment. But I don't know, some records, they're meant to not sound good. Like if,
Yeah.
and not necessarily being shitty towards them or say, but like they were never recorded with the intention of high fidelity being considered
Hmm.
at all. They just wanted you to hear their songs. So I think there's both worlds. Like there's definitely something special about hearing a record that was recorded incredibly well through a system that makes you hear things you never heard before. Like that's amazing and well worth it if you have the money to get into it, especially if you're someone who's a true audiophile there. But at the same time, like having a set of these guys is pretty sweet too. I end up using those way more than I ever anticipated I would use them.
Oh, same. It's a lifestyle piece for sure.
It's strange. But anything or anyone that you've sold things to that was cool, or any sort of super crazy expensive stuff?
I mean, yeah, well into even speaker sets well into the six figures. I mean, that's just in that industry is more commonplace than people realize. But I mean, it kind of coincides with like car enthusiasts that they'll
That
spend
makes sense.
100 grand on a Lambo or something like, or more than that. They
Right.
Some of those guys who have that kind of budget, who either have that hobby or don't do that hobby, get into high end audio as just another thing. So some of these guys that do it, they just don't like going to concerts. They want to be able to do it right there in their house and have that clarity and have that experience, that three-dimensional audio experience that people talk about, holographic audio, which can only be achieved in the cone of listening with the proper speaker placement and things of that nature. But end all be all, you're listening to music. So
Yeah. I mean, if you have the ability to do it and you're into it, like I always been those things like I would love to have it, but I'm still pretty stoked on the things I have the ability to listen to things the way I have it. So
yeah.
I I fear like much like anything like gear wise that if I get like my mind set on a thing that I think is going to be the next thing I need or is a super cool, that I'm going to obsess with it,
Oh
and
yeah.
then I will want to pursue purchasing that thing. But the reality of it is, just like with music acquisition stuff, is that I feel like it would be a rabbit hole I'm afraid to go down.
Yeah, and it's it definitely happens. I mean, I get those phone calls every day. But I mean, it's like from my perspective, it even though I have some decent stuff, but I still get more excited about creative toys.
Hmm.
So even as a kid, I always wanted to versus the video game. I always wanted the guitar or something to draw with or something that I could create art with rather than
Yeah,
absorb art with. So
totally get it. This was the same growing up. If you handed me a pad of paper, I was way more stoked about that than like a fucking baseball card or something. Yeah,
right, exactly.
it's cool to read about the stats of someone else who's doing something cool, but also I'd like to try to do something cool.
Exactly.
But yeah, I get that. That makes total sense. Actually, that's actually a good way to think about it. Um, so I guess jumping from there, we can talk shop about Apple stuff, which may cost us our two viewers. Uh,
Buckle up. Hold on
so
to your butts.
uh, so aside from Josh and I just being friends and playing music together for many years, we both have a mutual love of technology. I think Josh was first dude I know that had pretty much smart homed his environment. Uh, Yikes! Sorry. uh, but more specifically, we've kind of been talking back and forth about doing this to talk about the M1 stuff and how it's kind of changing things with audio and video, and so it will pertain to the channel here. We're not just going to talk about specs and shit. Hello, Electric Meat Puppet. Apple juice does do, yes, it's a terrible thing that it does. I appreciate your comments every time. Yeah, I don't know. I think which we'll kind of dive into here, but I've I'm I imagine you are the same, but I kind of feel like it is a bit of a modern renaissance in what I think creative people are going to be able to do because of these tools. And it's not just Apple, of course, like other other ARM stuff is going to start coming out, and I know Ryzen's already working on one. So there's going to be equal competitors to the M1, within the next couple months or whatever. So there'll be other computers, PC, that can compete with this type of process. It's the only thing it can do. It's a competition. But I think that because of this spurring it, and that change, at least in my take, is it's going to also spur a lot of creativity from without limitation for people who do work in their computers, whether it's film or video, photos. What's kind of your take on that?
Yeah, so it's absolutely forcing everybody to hang in the same class. So I'm excited to see what all these other vendors and manufacturers will come up with. But the I waited till the least till something really happened with Apple computers to upgrade my old Mac Mini that was dying, and I'm really glad I waited because yeah, the M1. Granted, there's some goofiness with it.
Mm-hmm.
But we know we're getting through that as everybody hops on. But like being able to do video editing at 10-bit color and 422 color gamut at 4K resolution and actually get real time playback and not drop frames. I'm just like, this is insane, and be able to color correct on the go as I do it. And I typically edit in Premiere, and it's still not even native to M1 yet. So I mean, it's still running in Rosetta. So I mean, it's still performing extremely well and outpacing a more specced out MacBook that I had from work.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only 3 years old, or 3 years younger. So it blows my mind how awesome it really is and what it can do. So
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I'm using Final Cut, which I was using iMovie as of about a year and a half ago because I hadn't dove in yet.
mm-hmm.
And then I switched to Final Cut on my 2015 MacBook Pro, and it was fine, but I had to create a workaround. So I would do all my edits and then do my adjustment layer for the first batch of stuff, and then export it, and then bring it back in as a finished thing, and then continue to edit it. Yep. Otherwise, I would just get the pinwheel, especially if I wanted to do anything that was basically over 720. So it's and that, I mean, the 2015 I had was specced out as much as you could get at the time with the i7, and I had I think 32 gigs, and as much as you could put in that computer was in there, SSD and everything, but it still was just, it had to be a workaround. So I had gotten used to the process of like, okay, I'm gonna do this much stuff. If I want to color grade anything, if I'm going to color grade anything or even experiment with color grading, I have to commit this, kind of like tape used to be. like I commit this to tape. Now I can put that on another reel and then bring in another 4 tracks. So it's kind of how I was treating video, which is super annoying and tedious. But I kind of got used to it. And then jumping into, like, I have what I'm speaking to you through a microphone that's attached to a MacBook Air M1, and I got just the 8 gig laptop with the 512 storage, but just the 8 gig was like, there was no lag. It was just working.
Yeah.
And I can monitor my CPU and everything. Like, it's not clipping me out on the activity monitor or anything. Like, it was getting up there sometimes when I'd start layering things, but it still wasn't throttling, and it wasn't topping out, and I wasn't dropping frames. And I didn't have to do the workaround anymore. Like, if I had an idea, like, oh, I want to color correct this, I didn't have to think like, well, I got to wait 15 minutes for this to export, then bring it back in. Like, I'm just doing it now. And I don't know, man. you have the MacBook Pro?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the 16 gig terabyte. So it's been a good chunk of money, but
You went all in.
Yeah, I did.
Nice. I I have both now, which is silly. I had but I have the mini and this. But my selling thing is just pulling it back into the other stream that may or may not still be going. Is that Nick Hill was using the base model MacBook Air, like just the 7-core, just literally the cheapest one they make, and was doing like red footage edits on it.
Oh yeah.
And like not sweating it at all. Like he's like, there's some stuff that would get weird occasionally, but just because there's like tabs open on top of editing, but like for the most part, it was chugging right through it enough that it was like beating the shit out of a tower he had custom built, and that was loaded with RAM and all the stuff that was just doing the job to where he was, using this more. And I'm only the next step up from where he is. I'm in the middle ground. But once he was telling me that, and then I did all the silly research and watching videos and obsessing with it. And then I kind of talked to you and Scott Bunn, who is another YouTuber here that's also on the other stream there. He got the 16 gig mini, and just it's kind of been a game changer for most of the folks that I know that are using it, and their workflow is now simplified, and they don't have to worry about their concept is a lot easier to get to because they don't have the worry of hiccups along the way, which is pretty interesting. Have you been using it for audio stuff at all?
Yeah. So still running Logic, and then all the Neural DSP plugins have been running phenomenally. Then I got a little plugin happy since I had this huge terabyte of storage that I could fill up, and it was there was been a couple that weren't programmed for M1 or compatible yet, and that was an eye-opening experience on what happens to your system. I had I think it was a Waves plugin, or it was whoever who had the tape saturation, the Vic Butch tape saturation plugins. I tried one of those, and I think it's Waves. I can't remember. Either way, it doesn't matter. And I almost had to reset my computer because it locked it up so bad that it just just nothing would run on my computer while that plugin was on. So, and as soon as I took it off the bus I was using it on, it worked. Everything went back to normal. So, if anybody's looking to get one of these, read before you download the app or try the free trials if you can, just to make sure it is going to function. I also use a color grading plugin called Cinema Grade, which is fantastic. It's great for matching, clip by clip, so it stays consistent. And they just launched the M1 compatibility version.
Oh, that's awesome!
Last week, and I've had it for like 2 months, so I haven't been able to use it until like this week.
I was using their subscription thing on the old computer, and then I canceled it because it wasn't listed as compatibility, and I saw issues with people complaining of issues. So I'm happy to know that it's a thing. Since they updated to the most recent version of Big Sur, you'll start to see, like if you look at your activity monitor, there's a lot of stuff that's now universal, to where it used to just be Rosetta or native. Now there's a middle ground. So like, I'm sure you're aware of this, more so just saying for everyone here that may not be aware of it. That you can run something natively like Logic now, and if the plugins work within Rosetta, there's a high probability it will work in the universal feature. So the plugin may take longer to load, but it will still function, and you'll be able to utilize the M1 a little better. Waves being one of them. They've recently changed all their stuff because I had a bunch of that stuff. My hang up, and some people didn't have problems with it, was Slate. Like all my Slate stuff that I did the subscription on or whatever, totally useless. Didn't work at all. And I saw some people were getting it to work on the Intel Big Sur, but it's not working on the M1 Big Sur. And I know you had them for a while, I believe, but their subscription program's weird because you pay monthly, but you've agreed to pay for a year. So you can't just cancel your subscription.
So you're just paying for stuff
Well,
you're not using. Yeah.
right. So for a while I was, and then I just got frustrated with it because I did try to cancel it and they hit me with some of that nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kept like sending emails like, this is silly. I can't use anything that I'm paying you for, regardless of your contract. Like, it's useless to me. I'm just giving you money. And what that tells me is that when I have the opportunity to use it, I'm not going to. I'm going to go elsewhere because you've drained me of money for months.
Right.
And they're still not. What they updated their drum program. Slate Drums now works with M1, but they kind of misled people with the advertising.
Okay.
To make it seem as though like we're now compatible with M1. So they didn't really say like, no, just this couple of things are. The rest of it still no. Because there's like, what, 30 some plugins they have to completely retool for M1. So, but yeah, not cool. I switched over to all Wave stuff. But Waves has been having like the $29 per plugin deal thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember when all Wave stuff was like $5,000. Like,
yeah, this is so expensive.
yeah, literally $5,000. I think the diamond package was at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy. That especially considering they sell it for $29 now. Like each individual plugin, you can buy the diamond package now. I think for $200 flat. But
yeah, and it's like it's kind of like that with Logic. Like I can't believe Logic's $200,
right,
and it does everything that you would ever need. Now there's cool stuff you can add to it, but if somebody wanted to make a record, you spend $200, you're getting a better program than people were spending for $1,000, 15 years ago.
oh yeah. Like I've heard if the Logic, I think it was 9, came with like a couple of songs like preloaded into it, and the current one does too. It's got some Billie Eilish stuff preloaded into it if you want to check those out. But it was like a Killers song, Santi Gold, and I want to say Beck, maybe someone else. But it was like the song that you were hearing off of their record completely mixed in Logic and using their Logic files, but using Logic plugins instead of the stuff they were using. And it sounded incredible. Like it's still like the something, the Spaceman song or whatever. It's a Killer song. Like listening to the version of it that was in the Logic thing and then listening to the real one, there was no audible difference. But that they used nice outboard gear to record this, the core audio, and they probably used some different EQs and compressors from other companies, but just hearing it done inside of Logic's core unit stuff, it was fine. Like it sounds amazing. And that the Billie Eilish song that you can download from the demos for the current version, like the M1 stuff for Logic Pro. I guess they ditched the X now. It's Pro, whatever.
They put Pro in front of everything.
Yeah.
There's gonna be like a Pro sandwich, a Pro, cat. So.
Man, those are gonna be cool. iPro Cat. iCat Pro.
iCat Pro.
Yeah, that's
iCat
cool.
Pro. Yeah, it's coming. Tim, if you're listening.
They don't have to put an AirTag on them anymore. They're just built in.
Exactly.
But yeah, the Billie Eilish song is completely mixed and automated and mastered inside of Logic using all built-in Logic stuff. It's interesting to like whether you like her or not, or use Logic or not. If you do have Logic and you haven't downloaded the demo thing, it's worth checking out because you can get an idea for how Phineas did production work, because you can literally see the settings and what he chose and how he automated things. It's kind of a nice course in learning automation and pitch correction and stuff with instrumentation. He didn't do anything with her voice, so that's really interesting. She's just a phenomenal singer, but like he's doing stuff to make the instruments kind of like have some space and stuff. It's really worth checking out if you're just curious about production. But the other side of it is you can see that and hear that the capability of the built-in stuff is more than enough to get an idea across, and not just get an idea across, but get an idea across that ultimately becomes like, a Grammy winning song,
Yeah, and I think picking Ocean Eyes as the track was probably a great decision on their part, because it's not an aggressive track. It's very airy, it's very spacey, so you can really get a sense of this, how massive this thing can sound,
Hmm.
and this abyss of reverb and fun that was recorded in a bedroom, and made in a bedroom, which is really the best story out of that whole thing. Which, yeah, I think what that Phineas and Billie Eilish are doing is incredible, and I champion them, fly their flag as much as possible.
I'm the same. I know there are a lot of people that get butthurt about it because it's a pop artist, but I look at it like it's two kids in a bedroom that were able to like. She was 15 when Ocean Eyes recorded. By the time her full length came out, she was only 17. He's only 22, and it was recorded in a bedroom at their parents' house, like with literally her sitting on a bed and him a few feet away.
Right.
Like it's pretty amazing to think that what capability the computer, what, not even M1 aside or any Apple anything, like the fact that you can sit in your house and if the right, the right wind blows your way and you've got the material, there's a possibility that you could make something yourself at home that ends up becoming what that is. And it's a pipe dream really, but like it's still kind of nice to realize that that's still a thing, like people can still kind of be arguably nowhere in that and just kind of spur into this thing, but it's all, just two people sitting in a bedroom, which is pretty wild.
Yeah. And what was it? I saw an interview with them on the it was bad. They were talking about Bad Guy, and they used the kind of hi-hat sound in the chorus is really the noise when you cross the street in Australia. It's the
I saw that. Yeah.
clicking. Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, then you go back and listen, and you're like, it totally is. That's exactly what it is, and like, that's brilliant. Like, well done. Wish I would have thought of that.
It's pretty brilliant. Yeah, there's a sample of them lighting matches. That's the part of like a drum that's in one of the songs too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that stuff's what, like, I think being a teenager and having a microphone and the ability to record something, that kind of youthful ingenuity is going to come up anyways, because it's just imagination essentially. Like, what can I put in front of a microphone to make a noise?
Mm-hmm.
But then, which is the cool part about recording, right? Like, that's, at least to me, that's the fun part about recording, is like that only people that give a shit about recording or music really care about. It's like, oh, we used this thing to do this, or we put a tiny matchbook amp in front of, a fan to make a tremolo sound, like it's not the same, but it's the same concept, like it's just experimentation and just seeing what weird sounds you get from whatever tinkering you're doing. I think the digital world makes that even more of a thing, because you can take something like a sample of a crosswalk and quantize it and use it as the basis of a song. Like, it's pretty wild.
Yeah,
Like,
these kids doing it now on their, a basic computer. And when I was their age, I was, recording a cover of the Bum Bum song by Tom Green into a mini disc. And I thought that was amazing.
man, mini disc is the one that got away. It definitely should have stuck around.
Oh, for sure.
It's a whole thing. There's a fellow that has a channel here on YouTube. And if I haven't sent it to you already, I will. If I can think of the name of it, I will put it in the description. But he basically just goes through retro check that should have succeeded. And
Okay, interesting.
yeah, mini disc was one of them. And the ability to edit it was pretty fucking mind blowing. Like, you could edit anything, and the way it wrote tracks was weird, because it did, no matter what, without getting too far into it, if you wrote it like this, track 1 through 8, and you wanted to move track 2 to track 8, you could do that. But it didn't actually, it's like you could, but it also didn't move it on the physical disc. It would still be 1 through 8. But when you set it to 2, it would just know that you wanted to go to 8. And like, you could do shit with it that just you can't even do it now. It's not a thing. But like, it was equal in quality to CD. It was significantly smaller and more portable. It was more functional. It was the closest thing to being able to record onto tape, like since tape.
Mm-hmm.
And it just didn't work, which is crazy. I owned 2 of them. I owned a portable one and a big unit. I got it for Christmas one year. I asked for it. And I think my mom and surrogate father at the time spent like $500 on the the actual like console unit, and I used my own Christmas money, like $280 some to go to Circuit City, which doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, that and Walden Software, those are my jams.
Oh yeah.
But I went there and bought this portable Sony one, but you could program it on the portable one. You could like name the songs, change the whole organization. You could also just run it into like a mixer and record directly to it. Like it was really brilliant, but it just didn't work.
Yep.
Mini disc talk, hot mini disc talk. Thanks for all the watchers.
Yep. This was not in the notes.
It's not. I'm sorry.
We've deviated. I need an adult.
You know better than that. I am not an adult. Okay, so yeah, well, we can wrap it up. We're hitting on just over an hour. Is there anyone that is watching that has any questions pertaining to mini disc? Apple products, guitars,
Apple products, high resolution audio, vinyl, Apple Juice, After Effects,
muscle cramps
of any sort.
Yeah. Dunnable guitars, Telecasters, the UA aux box, software, anything you have to ask, now would be the time.
Yeah. Keep hearing your guys' shout out on the Necronomipod though. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. We've I think we made buddies early on with them, sending them stuff, and then we just I'd chat back and forth with Dave in through my podcast with my wife. Funnily enough, I can drink. Yeah,
I can drink cider like a champ too.
The same. I prefer cider actually.
Cider's great.
Yeah, that like even if you're going like let's go highfalutin apple juice. Like if you go with like Simply Apple, which is technically cider, yeah, you're in business. And I don't know that I've ever had apple juice muscle cramps. But
I'm going to try. I'm willing to try to get muscle cramps from apple juice now.
Yeah. You know what's the jam in the apple juice world is those little circular glass ones they sell at the dollar store here in the States.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're actually really delicious. Kind of underestimated. You do have to go in a Dollar General, which is a bummer. But they're all right.
I go to, I don't know when you lived in the area if you went to Dots Market much, but I frequent there now because it's like stepping back in a time warp. It's awesome.
I actually got I preferred going there over going to any of the Krogers, particularly the ones close by, which apparently they're tearing those down or something. Anyway, it's a whole other conversation.
That's going to be a shit show.
Nice. But yeah, there, and then I would go to the drive-through that's up a little bit past your house to avoid going to the chain grocery store that was vastly more ghetto.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. But all right, well, no real questions. A lot of hot apple cider talk. Not like hot apple cider is delicious, by the way. I imagine you could probably put booze in there, make it something. You could put booze in anything.
Yeah.
And make it into something cool. But yeah, if there's no questions, which there probably aren't, maybe there'll be questions in the comments later on. I will put up Josh's link here again to his band stuff. And I'll have these links in the description as well once we get to that point. And if you are at all interested, go check that stuff out. If you have questions for Josh, you can leave them in the comments. He is at Spring Verb. I think that's right. Spring Verb.
Yep, Spring Verb Media.
Yeah. You can find him here on YouTube as well. He's got a really cool channel, and his videos are really well done and much better than any of ours. So that's a thing you might want to look at. Hot apple and cinnamon apple cider. Says Electric Meat Puppet. I like that we're covering the good topics. We're really nailing the important stuff.
Yeah.
It's usually how it goes. I had a time on here. The last time I did a live stream similar to this, I had one with Nick Hill, and I had eaten an edible shortly before. And a good portion of the way through it, I was not coherent. and I don't think he was either, but we just kept going. And luckily for the both of us, it's only gotten about 50 views total. But it was pretty rough. I went back and tried.
I want to watch this.
Yeah, it's
I will watch that, and then I'm really still like ready to do the petition to release the Burt Kreischer Ari Shafir episode where they, the one I'm talking about,
where he got dosed.
He got dosed with Molly. It's never been never been released. I really want to see that. I'll pay money to a good charity if they.
I feel like at this point, what could it hurt? It's done now, right?
Yeah, you're not gonna have Mark Hamill in your movie.
Like, no, you're gonna get it in there somehow.
Yeah,
I feel like it would be great.
Yeah.
I get comments when I'm on the other stream, on the bandless stream, because sometimes I'm high, and when I'm at home in Canada, it's recreational, it's legal. I eat a lot of edibles, and it's harder to get a hold of them here in Ohio without paying for a license or going to somebody's house or something. But yeah, hey, Cos Man, coming in at the tail end here. Cos is a regular fella, so is Electric Meat Puppet. They usually come hang out a little bit. Well, now everybody's coming on. I feel like maybe I should wait a little bit.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Did the other stream end? I'm assuming, because usually that's how it goes. The cool guys in their stream, I get their runoff.
Throwaway trim.
Nah, it's awesome. I enjoy it. Cos Man, if you didn't catch it, you can. Well, I would say, what timing? Development of a Void. Welcome, sir. Well, I'll do a quick introduction again for anyone who's just jumping on. Yeah, I watched a little bit of that one, and then came over here to talk to my dude Josh. For those who are just chiming in, here they come just in time for that edible. You're right. All right. So yeah, Josh, Gwin, everyone. We used to play in a band together and travel in stinky vehicles with dudes. And yeah. And yeah, Cos says hello.
What's up, Cos Man?
Josh is a guitar player as well as a YouTuber here, does gear stuff. Not same stuff, different guy, different voice, different ideas.
Way less content.
Yeah, better production when he does have content. That's why it takes so long between videos. They're just going to be way better than ours. Worked in hi-fi audio for a while, is a Dunnable guitar owner, yeah, as well as a UA Oxbox owner. We kind of chat a little bit about that today, as well as the M1 Crisis. And yes, I will link the channel. I have to look for it first, but yes.
Yep.
If you hear me typing, you're just going to have to live with it. All right. So spring verb. Yeah. There it is. All right. And there is the link. Hello, 13 Flaws. Now it's packed house in here.
Howdy.
So yeah, we just been talking about gear and computers, all that sort of stuff. You just saw the video of the girl. Well, I will tell you, I don't know who that girl is. I worked with a guy who lives in Sweden, and he filmed most of the performance aspect of that, and then all of the B-roll. I'll bring your comment up here on the thing so people know what the hell I'm talking about. The B-roll of that video is me with the iPhone, just walking around in a field. Anything you see with grass or any of that sort of stuff was me. Anything that's not the lady dancing, basically. But no, I worked with a gentleman, and I'm drawing a blank on his name. Not his name, but his company name. Either way, yeah, I paid a fella to do that portion of it and work with that lady to kind of get the dance organized and whatnot. So, but yeah, I
You
don't know.
choreographed good dance though, so let me know.
Yeah. I do a lot of choreograph stuff. It's a thing. Josh played bass on that track. Josh was the bass player in the band at that time, and he played on that record. So yeah, that's awesome that you're digging it, Cos Man. Thank you for checking it out. Looks like you got a couple of subs there, Josh.
Great. Thank you guys. Appreciate that.
Wonderful.
Give you some more content here shortly.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll post the link in the Discord too. That's a good idea. 13. I forget about the Discord all the time because it's just another thing that I'm a part of a Discord, Josh, along with all these fine folks you're speaking to, and a couple other YouTubers here, Nick and Bun and Synth Chris. So.
Oh, somebody found the Crossfire video.
Uh-oh. That's very funny.
That was a fun night with Rusty. So
nice. I like it. Man, yeah, that's right. You guys did. I know. I was like, what is he talking about? Crossfire. I kept thinking Hiatus Coyote, Napalm, and then I was like, oh no, you guys redid the commercial for Crossfire, the board game.
Yeah. I've never seen somebody say yes to that so fast, other than Rusty singing that, and he didn't have to prep for it. That is what he was, born to do.
I mean, it's great. Are you doing music stuff with Rusty? Is an incredible singer. Like if you're not doing stuff, he should do things. I always feel like he should be doing something.
Yeah, he's Rusty is for the people who don't know, was a singer in an old band of mine called Orange Willard. He's got a very coarse Cornell style of singing, but he has a good passion for a lot of good stuff. And he sang on that track, the Crossfire remix, if you want to call it. And he does his own music. He's got a project called Phenom. This is just like electronic music. He's currently getting his music degree. He just got his associates, and he's on his way to his bachelor's at Wright State University. He starts in a couple weeks, actually. And he'll be a music teacher. So if you want a guy who can sing like Chris Cornell as your music teacher, find out what school district he's going to be in a few years. So
he's a super talented guy. He's we kind of started to do stuff with him for a minute. The guys in Close the Hatch at the time were kind of doing stuff with him, but we ended up not coming to fruition. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. The MT2, yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, fellas. Any questions or anything pertaining to any of the stuff we covered? I realized some of you were getting in here late, but yeah, you can talk Close the Hatch stuff too. I'm happy to do that. Josh played on the entirety of Modern Witchcraft, I think, with the exception of 2 songs. And I think the actual song Modern Witchcraft I played on, and I think maybe Cordial Medusa I played on. I don't remember exactly.
It's a very fuzzy time in my life.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. And also that, like, the beginnings of that record and us recording it were separated by like over a year. So it's kind of weird. And then COVID hit.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit.
I think we played like 3 shows in relation to that record and then COVID. So, but yeah, any questions you have in relation to the recording of that record, I'm happy to answer. Or if you want to ask Josh about bass stuff from that time frame, please feel free to. But yeah, I'm stoked that you guys are checking the stuff out. There's been while I have the few of you here and anyone who ends up watching this posthumously, all of the attention to the Close the Hatch YouTube lately as a result of all you fine folks has been awesome. It's very, very nice of you, and I really appreciate you guys doing that. To answer your question, Electric Meat Puppet, new stuff is coming along. Josh is doing another band now, and we've got another fella, Cody, who was a fill-in for Josh a handful of times, and he's working on that. But bass recording and final production we will get into in just a second. New stuff, we have 8 songs tracked, drums, guitars, the bass is there, which I played, but Cody Clark, who is the current bass player, is now in the process of, he and we're going back through the record to re-record it. And then I'll do vocals, and then that group of songs will come out, and we have an additional 6 songs that are also in the midst of being recorded. So we're going to put out a lot of stuff in the next year. That's the plan, at least. So I actually will be doing a video going through one of the demos I'm working on to kind of get into the production ideas. So that's coming. Tell us about bass recording and final production tone. For Modern Witchcraft, it was a combination of things. It was Josh had a PV grind bass. It was
still have it, actually.
Oh, wonderful. 35-inch scale. And we got some roto sound strings, a couple of different sets until it kind of settled on one, from what I recall, that worked well for the tuning we're in. And I don't know, did we use any of your pedals and stuff?
I can't remember. I think we just recorded dry and then ran out everything outboard after that. I really can't, man, that was a while back. But the big thing with the tone was that 35-inch scale grind bass just dimed. So.
Yeah, it helped because we're tuning to A flat, like an open A flat. So having something with a little added scale definitely makes the low notes more consistent and balanced and less muddy. And that bass was a good deal of it. I know we used, at least the 2 songs that I recorded, I used, because your bass was with you, I used Sean O'Shaughnessy's Warwick basses. He has a 5-string thumb and a 4-string Corvette, and maybe the other way around, but some facsimile of that, which is not the right word choice, but you get what I'm saying. Either way, that was kind of the whole thing. I think we just went direct for the majority of it, and then Sean reamped some stuff. And I know we reamped on a few of the songs because I recorded I recorded some of the record with Micah Carley at Popside later on. Towards the tail end, I went and did some overdubs and stuff, and we reamped the clean bass signal through the Hillbish into a bass cabinet. So that is there. I don't remember what songs, but it is definitely there for the stuff that's more grindy sounding on the record with the bass, is the bass signal being ran back through the Hillbish. It was still what Josh played. It was just the direct signal being played back through the amp.
And I remember early in the conception of the record that you were trying to do something a little different with the the bass tone, as far as making it more of the body of the sound, and then having the guitars kind of above everything. I think it was achieved. I like the sound of that record a lot. So
for sure, yeah, it turned out great. Micah did an amazing job mixing it. It's a nice combination of everyone involved, between the members of the band and then Shaughnessy's production and recording, and the stuff that I did in the box at home, and the stuff Micah did, and ultimately with him mixing and mastering. It was just great. Getting to the vocal chain thing, and I promise I'm going to try to answer all these questions, and if Josh has any questions and or comments, feel free to chime in as well. Vocal chain, where was that question so I can bring it back up? We should have started an hour later, Josh. But what do I use for the vocal chains to thinking? Okay. I am on that record. I used a Steinberg interface, pretty much, in conjunction with what you call it. I had one of those cheap Presonus tube mic preamps that I don't think it really actually hits the tube, but it just adds volume, and a King B microphone from I don't know what the company's name is. B, I think. Anyways, they make a microphone that looks like a blue microphone, but it's white or yellow and black, and it's essentially the same kind of mic as the Baby Bottle, from what I understand, or the Bluebird, one or the other. I use that for anything that was like strictly clean, and anything that was dirty or aggressive at all, even if it was just like overdubs or noise stuff, was all on SM7B with a handful of guitar pedals and a vocal pedal that our buddy Jeff Newell made. He basically turned a reverb and preamp pedal. He made for guitar and switch the inputs and outputs to be XLRs and put a ground on it. So a lot of the reverb and drone and stuff you hear on the record from Modern Witchcraft with the vocal stuff is that pedal and the Afterneath, and then the Valhalla stuff inside of the plugin, the Valhalla Shimmer, or was it the Valhalla? So what are those? No, it's another Shim Verb plugin I have. I didn't have the Valhalla yet. It's some of it's in the box, some of it's literally guitar pedals. From there, it was kind of just a mixed bag of stuff. I used a handful of just mixes of plugins, compressors, EQs, and things to kind of shape things the way I wanted. And like some of you may have seen, Nick Hill and I talk about the Wells EP. I tend to make completely clean exports of vocals, and then ones that have effects and things that I like the sound of or I want to commit to, or I have those as enough of a template for whoever ends up mixing it to kind of do what they want to do with the clean vocals and kind of have an idea where my head's at. That's a good thing I did that. Like that's super 90s I'm dumb thing. Which is, yeah, it's still pretty accurate. I'm not the most smart guy. Let's see here. Cheap like good tones. Dude, I had any timing? Okay, so we did not have timing issues with the reamping, and a lot of that's to do with Sean will record noise and then like run clicks back through, so we have a reference. That way, when we drag things into place, there's a visual continuity. Just like if you're syncing audio to video, you can see like after the clicks, this is where one is. So that's an easy way to fix that issue, by the way. Just make noise leading up to it, or if you can, run your click track back through it, or some facsimile of that, whatever the hell. I didn't answer that very well. I'm sorry. I don't have a great way to explain the very tricky thing he did. Hello, Nick Hill. What string gauge did we use? Will it work with my tuning? Yes, and maybe. I don't know. Yes, it probably will. Great tip, Cos Man. Okay, no, I'm sorry. I'm reading and trying to think of my answer at the same time. Faux pas. Pertaining to guitar, Nick, or pertaining to the bass? I'm not sure which part. This is a joke. You're right. Which one, bass or guitar or both? Bass is a different ball game, but you tell me what you want to know and I'll answer. If it's both, then we'll answer both. Oh, okay. Well, fuck, man. Your comment. I was taking it seriously. Wanted to help. I figured you knew the answer already, but never know. For anyone who doesn't know, it's 14 to 68. Hi, Nick. Don't mess with the vibe. This didn't work at all. I'm sorry. Your sarcasm doesn't translate to text. It's like we're in a relationship or something. You got to send an emoji that indicates your feeling. That way I know. Or tell me that you have a feeling. Then use words. I think. I don't know. Josh?
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Oops. Man, the bass stuff was tricky. I feel like we tried a few different gauges, and
yeah, it ended up being like a rotosound something or another, but it worked out really well. It was the top 5 strings of a 5-pack or a 5-string pack on a 4-string bass is I think where we ended up with it.
Yeah, I want to say there was like is there fucking Black Eyed Peas stuff happening here? I would say we ordered a rotosound set that was designed to be tuned to low F sharp. I'm pretty sure if you look that up, you can find it. But the lowest note was too big.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like a 170 or some crazy shit. And that sounds, he smells like he is smart. He's smarter than I am. I can't even talk. But it's fine. Yeah, we switched it out. I want to say I ordered like a single like 150 or something slightly thinner.
Okay.
That we swapped just the lowest string out at some point, but I don't know. I have a set that I have yet to put on my bass. I love the NYXLs. I don't know about the stainless XLs or just the standard ones, I believe. And I love D'Addario stuff. I got no complaints there. Josh, you?
Yeah, D'Addario is great, but I don't know. I have no personal allegiance to any string company until somebody wants to put my name on the back of a package. So, which probably will never happen. So,
You can pay Kurt Mangan to do
okay. See you Monday. So,
it. Yeah. The stainless ones I've not messed with. The standard D'Addario stuff I'm stoked on, and the NYXLs are great. I didn't realize that's not what you're referring to, but I don't have enough experience with a specific thing you're asking to say whether they're good or bad. Stainless strings tend to be very bright and yeah, a little more clangy, for lack of a better term. But yeah, I would imagine they sound good. I don't really have terrible allegiance with strings either. They're all cool, good enough. I have noticed that I prefer the hexagonal core stuff over round core stuff, which I'm noticing more and more. Like, I don't know, there's a period of time when we had an endorsement from a company that I won't mention for strings that I had kind of worked us into, and they sent us some stuff, and they were round core strings. They weren't bad, but I couldn't ever get my guitar to stay in tune using them.
mm-hmm.
And then they were like a custom set, like I think it was 70 to 14 or something. But yeah, I couldn't get it to stay in tune at all when it shouldn't have been a difference, because it was basically the same set with a slightly thicker low string. And fuck, man. Thanks, Nick. So yeah, I couldn't get it to stay in tune. I ended up switching back to the 14 to 68 D'Addario, whatever you want to call it, and then everything started being in tune again. So that I got no issue with those. String Joy is great, a little pricey, incredible strings, and if you want to do the tension gauge thing, it will tell you exactly what string is best for the tension and tuning and the scale length. Very cool, and it does work. I still, even with having used several packs of their baritone strings now, I still miss the 68. Right now I'm using one of their sets that's I'm high too to balance it all. That's okay. Yeah, definitely get high. The thing is I'm not high, and maybe that's the problem. I have drank a lot of tea today, so maybe I'm high on tea and piss. But yeah, man, I love the String Joy stuff. They sent me a calibrated set that's 13 to 64, which is supposed to be appropriate for the string gauge or for the length, and the string gauge is supposed to be appropriate with the tuning. I still kind of would prefer the lowest string to be a tad bit thicker just for snappiness. But otherwise they're great. Yeah, I don't know, man. I would suggest D'Addario stuff because it's readily available. That's kind of the thing I go for more than anything these days. If I can get a hold of it through Amazon or whatever, or go to some random store. Sometimes Walmart sell guitar strings, which is silly. Targets occasionally do too. So if you're in a pinch, Guitar Center, places like that, and you can just walk into a place and grab them. It's better to get, in my opinion, it's better to get acclimated with something that you can easily find. So if you're playing shows or traveling, or you're just in a pinch, you know that, okay, this is a very basic thing that I can get a hold of anywhere. And Ernie Ball has really improved their variables now, as far as the different options they have, like different like preset gauges that are all very varied for tunings and scale lengths and stuff. So, and you're spending $5 to $6 a pack. It's a good way to experiment with stuff, and it's also another thing that's like it's super readily available, and that's usually more important to me than going with a a super highfalutin company or whatever. And that's I'd say that String Joy is. They're a very small company that's making really great products. But and I completely back the guy's philosophy, but it's not always the easiest thing. Pre-rusted. Ernie Ball kept providing me pre-rusted strings, so I dropped them. Yeah, I've had shitty ones from them, and I will tell you that and maybe Josh can add too. My experience with them, as much as I like them, is that their lifetime is a little shorter than other strings. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, sorry, I was reading the comments here. Yeah,
Oh,
no, I
okay.
would agree. I'm horrible at changing strings, but they go lifeless pretty quick. It's kind of it's like Fruit Stripes gum. Is the fruit stripe gum of strings. So yeah, just chew it twice and then you're done.
Yeah, those damn zebras. What is it? Where the game? They used to come in like this is a bubblegum tangent. They used to come in Band-Aid containers. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. I remember Band-Aid gum. Like it was like, hey, it's cool, kids. You can chew this gum because it looks like it's coming from a bandage container.
Yeah, the one thing you would not want to chew on.
Yeah, like who wants to chew on a Band-Aid? Let's make it. That's legitimately a nightmare of mine, is magically chewing on a Band-Aid.
There's that, or like swimming and one floats by you. Fuck that.
Oh yeah, horrible.
It's so
That's why I don't swim.
I quit swimming because of Band-Aids. Fuck it.
Band-Aids are gross.
Yeah, Ernie balls are pretty weak. Bubble tape. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Bubble tape all day. My daughter started getting into bubble tape recently. I sound like she's on cocaine, but she started getting into bubble tape. She's got a bubble tape problem.
Shit those pink logs.
Hello, Chori. Anyways, yeah, strings. Yeah, NYXLs are great. And just standard, D'Addario stuff they're very reliable. If you want to, thanks, Nick. If you want to get something like that, I would say, buy 2 or 3 packs of Ernie balls instead of buying 1 pack of D'Addarios, and then you'll have the same time frame. And you're right, it is Ohio, and everyone is hooked on bubble tape.
Yeah.
Who isn't is really the question.
It's a bubble tape epidemic. Just convulsing in the parking lot and freaking bubble tape.
I had a guy try to beat me up and suck my dick for Big League Chew. It was weird. Sorry, that was good. Isn't sugar more addictive than Coke? I don't know. I don't do Coke.
But do a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
So that tells you everything you need to know.
I have a caffeine problem. That's legit. I enjoy coffee and things with caffeine in it. I've tried to eliminate soda as best I can, but I do end up drinking lots of coffee and tea. Was he a ball player? It depends on how you define that. Man, I thought Coke had sugar in it. Like Coca-Cola, is that what we're talking about? It does have a lot of sugar in it. It used to actually have cocaine in it, so hence the name. And it was a cure for fatigue, if you read the old signs, which is pretty accurate.
Mm-hmm.
If you were doing cocaine in a bottle, then good chance you're going to be pretty non-fatigued, feeling pretty good. Have a lot of great ideas no one wants to hear. You're right. Coke did.
Hence why they've never done a throwback edition, unlike Pepsi.
Yeah. They did have like the natural cane sugar one, but they weren't like, all right, let's just put a little Coke in there.
Yeah. It just expired faster.
Yeah, and it's not the same. There's something good about the fake aspects of some of the things we consume because it just makes them taste good. You're an RC guy, that's cool. That's really cool. Good. There's nothing wrong with it. So Pepsi has pep in it. You're right. It does. I don't know what pep is, but it's got it. I like that this is taking a cool turn.
Arzicola, pep.
Man. Pib, Mr. Pib. RC was the Midwest treat.
It's true.
Son of a bitch. It's Pride Month. What the... My old source, it literally had cocaine and glass too. That's something right there. That's worthy of getting on the screen. Man. What a wild time to be alive.
Yeah.
I used to treat things like amputations with booze. We're going to cut off your arm. Here's a bottle of whiskey. Which seems accurate now if they were going to do that. Yeah. Should still be a thing. East Coast, there was no J chips or RC. Well, that's heartbreaking. That's bad news. I don't know what those chips are you're referring to. Do you know what J's chips are? We're on the East Coast, so maybe we're unfamiliar.
Yeah, totally unfamiliar.
Well, let me know. Are they delicious? Like, what's up with them?
It's like, it's what we get for having affordable housing.
Shuri Queso enjoys juice boxes, apparently. I think that's what that is. Is that a juice box?
I didn't realize.
I thought it was going to get bigger when I moved it over. It's the same fucking size. Yeah. Juice boxes are solid. Ecto Cooler was the jam.
They're supposed to be bringing that back for Afterlife.
Oh, yeah. Man, that got pushed back. It's very sad.
Yeah.
Thanks, COVID. Boy. I like how somehow or another I asked questions in relation to the recording, and we've made our way into moon pies and RC Cola and chips. J's were great in the white bag with that still doesn't help me much, but thank you. They're White Castle of chips. What? So they just look like the White Castle, or they taste like White Castle?
No, you only eat them after a full day bender.
So diarrhea.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Laxative chips.
Oh fuck. Nick has to know Jay's chips. Nick is from the West Coast. Maybe he knows all about those chips. White Castle-ish. Yeah, well,
yeah,
that's
true.
Agreed. So is Crystal, but people seem to like that too. I think anytime that anything is miniaturized, people get kind of excited about it, which I don't like. It looks little in my hand. Yeah, so does your wiener.
Yeah, it's the small sandwiches and sliders is very polarizing, and people either really love it or they're completely terrified of it. It's like people.
Yeah.
Small people, they love them or they're terrified of them.
I know a few people
that are terrified.
Nice. It's not nice for them, but maybe it is. Maybe they don't want to be near you.
Mutual respect.
In which case, you're on the same page. Weirdest sandwich combination. Man, this is right at the topic we started with. It's good that we're coming full circle. I heard someone say something about tuna fish or tuna and bananas the other day. I think my wife asked me about it. Someone that she works with is from the States and mentioned that it was a thing we eat here, which I don't believe it is. Maybe. Do people really slide sliders? No, I've not once slid.
There's a lot of friction.
Yeah, there's a lot of resistance. Yeah, it's I don't know. What bread do you use on your?
Pumpernickel.
That's cool. I like rye. Yeah, so Pumpernickel was pretty close. A nice marbled rye is cool. If you can't do that, like
Sweet Hawaiian.
Oh yeah, King's Hawaiian. Why not?
Yeah.
If you're gonna go full white trash.
Mm-hmm.
The blue bonnet bread with the girl eating the piece of bread with butter on it, that helps.
Yep.
It's a good way to get tone. Marble rye is, look, man, the secret to great tracking is marble rye. The secret to a hilarious joke is Seinfeld. What the fuck? Are these baguettes? They are. You're right. But 5 baguettes will get it done. Tone bread. Oh fuck. This is entertaining, fellas. I appreciate you.
Yeah. You know, 12 grains has better stereo imaging.
Hmm.
Marble Rye is it's got more bass to it.
Yeah, do you like want Doritos or do you want Doritos 3D? Because that's kind of what we're getting at.
Yeah.
And you don't, I don't know. Doritos 3D is back, by the way. It's cool that we bring back these things. There's a cat underneath me. Well, I feel like we've hit all the topics. This is way more fun than Bandless. You know, I like what you guys are doing over
Saddest key of all breads.
there.
I'm quoting you on that one. It might go on my Twitter.
It's back at better than ever. Oh boy. This reminds me of a piece of graffiti that Josh pointed out to me at Blind Bob's that just said Toy Story 2 wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Similar. It's equally as important as Pumpernickel is the saddest key of all breads. Toy Story 2, not that bad. Next to it was like a drawing of some sort of swastika or something. But either way, the point was made.
Yeah. It was valid.
Yeah. I need on this random time. Yeah. Well, you're in on it. You've participated. So far, no one has beat Cos Man. I'm just putting it out there. That's the comment of the night. Don't get me started on bagel chips. I guess y'all talked about the M1 at one point. We did. It's a great machine.
Bread is very important too.
The thing about bread in the M1 is that you can eat a sandwich while you use an M1.
Yeah, I could argue say that M1 and the bread had a similar launch. No one was quite prepared when bread was invented, and no one was prepared for the M1. But people adjusted. Sandwiches created. Apps are made.
Like some topics, some toppings were not prepared. They weren't ready. But you just have to go with it. The M1 is more of a tortilla. Yeah, you're right. Or a pita.
It's a pita.
It's a nice pita.
Naan.
Man.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's garlic naan.
Man, this is a cool shtick. Well, this is a lot of fun. I think unless we have any more constructive topics pertaining to, gluten, we may end this thing here shortly. Do you eat the tortilla on the Intel Mac Mini? Yes. You could cook an egg on that thing, actually. Heat up a can of soup. Any kind of. It does get hot. I have not. You can absolutely. That's what they're going to be for. Now, those things that like your grandmother might get to like keep the candles, the smell. The thing where they sell the wax pieces that melt in the little jars. Yeah, that's what those are for now.
Yeah,
I love my Mac Mini. I've got it right here. It's in a box. I had a real cool struggle with it earlier, which I shared with Nick because it had to be fully reformatted, which was not cool. It is up and running now.
You got the Jesus off of it.
Yeah, that may have been the problem. I did get asked if I wanted to play music in relationship to that. I'm teaching my service sheep to make sandwiches. Yeah. Treading my bread maker for an M1 right now. We got to get Andy on it. He needs to do a video.
Yeah. You really need to do a review of just a bread maker now.
I'm gonna do a video that's all the stuff that would lead you to like the M1X or something, and then it's just gonna be being like going through loads of bread.
Yep. Here's the day old from Penn Station.
I'm sorry for cackling. Oh fuck, that was funny. Took her to fight. Oh boy. You've exercised the pita.
That's how you get the apple juice cramps, right?
It's, yeah, it's a problem. Well, this son of a bitch. Bread videos, I'm digging it. Uh, there are worse. I mean, just being real, there probably are videos of people reviewing bread. There's a video where or channel where a guy just eats cereal. That's his whole channel. Uh, and I love him for it. He's making money, eating cereal, living the dream.
Gonna lose a foot.
He'll be able to afford it. I'm a no carb guy. This is like porn to me. Oh, Jesus. What's sad is that anyone that watches this later is gonna get like 10 minutes into us just talking about gear and be like, "This is boring." They only had to stay an hour into it before it got good.
Yeah. That's definitely...
This is a good time.
Yep.
I don't know what you guys are doing over at Bandless today, but ever since I left the show, it's been a lot better. Highlight of the night.
Yeah.
Fuck. I want to see these ridiculous comments, but I also feel like it might be time to wrap it up. Progressive carb core. Oh, wow. I don't. I like your channel's name, by the way. It's to the point. Podcast customer service. Nick, the content can be stale. Yeah, it's pretty lame. And bread's not for everybody. It's not a topic everyone can get behind
or consume.
Nope. No, gluten free. That's the channel you need to start as to be in direct competition now. Like bread. Yeah.
How'd the live stream go, hun? Yeah, we talked about gear for 45 minutes, and we talked about bread for an hour and 20.
I'm doing keto at the moment. I'm sure that wasn't a joke, but it's funny. Like right now, you're doing it. Like as we speak, you're doing keto.
Currently in ketosis.
Eating a lot of mutton. Well, I mean, when in Rome.
Yeah. Sounds delicious.
What's funny is I don't know how well it'll translate to the screen here. But these were my notes for this. I didn't have bread on there at all. I fucked up, I guess. It does say Apple Chat, so maybe that's what led us here. I kind of feel like Electric Meat Puppet is what led us here ultimately. He started the apple juice topic, and then, it's all been uphill from there. Cheese and meats. Ugh. But you're really doing keto. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's
not easy.
If you were doing keto for a while, or you were
like a genre of keto.
Yeah.
It was like the indie Dayton band of keto. The GBV of keto.
I like it. Swiss is like a fine 70s.
It's true. It's like ELO. You know?
It's Swiss. Yeah, you're right.
It's Swiss. Just now made the connection. They're the whole time.
Wonder what Brie is in relation to 70s bands.
I would say it's at least close to Steely Dan.
I swear I was going with it too. Hilarious. Healthy meth addiction. Well, the cool thing about meth is that you save a lot of money on dentistry. ABBA, that is fair. ABBA and Steely Dan, yeah. Jethro Tull. The space between the cheese. Shit. Oh boy, this is a good time. Fuck. How was the Bandless podcast tonight? I enjoyed Synth Chris for the first 30 minutes, and then I jumped on this one. It seemed like it was going well. I've lost some folks. I think that hot bread talk may have kicked a few people off. Munster is the saddest of all cheeses.
And also said he's in Indiana besides Gary.
What does cottage cheese fall into this conversation?
That's all of Zach Hill's previous Mueller's projects.
Cottage cheese. Riveting. Yeah. Maybe the joke is finally losing momentum. I don't... Cottage metal. Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna happen.
What would that be?
Oh man, cottage metal. I mean, oh my god, the options. I feel like it needs to be like at least in line with some darker death metal, some strike on, something like that.
So it's like Watain, but they just dump cottage cheese on themselves instead of ghost blood.
Yeah, exactly.
They smell about the same.
But the cottage cheese looks way more foul.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch somebody jump somebody in blood.
Blue cheese. Ugh. Blue cheese. That's
the tractor wrap.
The Bubba Sparks of cheeses.
Trap music in Hillsboro, Ohio.
Oh boy. Metal gate painting. Fuck.
I mean, that would be like Dream Theater, right? It's just too pristine, too nice that you just don't like it.
I agree. Modest Yahoo? Amish. That's not Amish though. That's just Jewish. That's different. Bob Ross. You know, Bob Ross is the brie of art, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe that's too fancy. Amish metal. I hope that exists. Like genuinely, not even in like a cynical way. I hope that Amish metal is a thing. I doubt it is because they'd have to plug something in. But
well, like think about it this way: it could be just an entire band dedicated to the movie Kingpin, which would be fantastic.
It's all acoustic. It's just the sound of barns being made. Oh, that's not nice. They're never gonna hear it.
No, they're just gonna evade their taxes.
It would sound like Rammstein, but different stage set. That's true. It would.
Yeah.
Oh man, less fire, less jizz. I'm not sure what they'd replace it with. Goat's milk, maybe.
Yeah.
Cheese. Those spicy peas. Those horseradish peas they make. The licorice that they sell that's not actually made by Amish people. Oh boy. I think we're running out of steam here, fellas. I think it's finally getting...
Oh shit.
All right.
Just start the live stream in general and just troll us and we'll see what we can come up with.
Oh boy. It's been great. This was a lot of fun. If any of you missed the beginning where we talked about normal topics, you didn't miss anything. This is where the meat of the conversation has been. But if you're catching up later, I'm glad you made it this far because I'm sure this was funny.
Cos Man.
Yeah. Everybody go check out Josh's channel, Spring Verb. I think I still have the thing here. If that's a link to something on Pornhub, you're welcome.
It's my OnlyFans.
Man, on our recent podcast, my wife and I joked about me starting one, and I think I'm going to do it.
As long as they don't mistake you for Josh Potter.
Well, he's doing a lot more like shoulder hair stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what the one guy here on YouTube did, where he just eats cereal, but I'm just going to eat cereal with no shirt on. It's the same concept. I'm just bear eats cereal. That's it.
That's beautiful. That
Yeah.
is 2021 wrapped up in a nutshell.
Bear eats cereal. All right. It was a good hang, everybody. Thank you so much. Definitely check out Josh's channel. Check out Josh's band. I will put that link up as well. I'm sorry I can't afford the $40 a month to actually put it up in a way that shows my information. Bathe in Mayo. Thank you, podcast customer service.
It's gonna cost you.
Just slather myself in mayonnaise.
Yep.
It could be cool. It'd be cool.
Yeah.
Like avocado mayo, maybe something interesting.
Right.
We'll find out. Either way, when I get the OnlyFans going, I'll hit you up with those links too. But for now, find the links to Josh's stuff. Go check out his band. Is it Tyrion? Tyrion. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Game of Thrones thing, but I've never watched it, so
I'm right there with you. It's keto friendly.
It is.
That's cool. And again, Spring Verb. And yeah, thanks so much. Spelling is my second language. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks for jumping on, Josh, and thanks for everybody who got in the chat. We had a good time, and you can catch the beginning of it if you didn't catch it and you want to see it. And all the applicable links will be in the thing. And yeah, that's it. So thanks fellas.
Guys. It's been Bread Chat. Thanks.
Yeah.